Hi, something a bit new for my channel today, an ink review. I haven't done an ink review really before. I've touched on this little guy here, the Ackerman's ink, but that was mainly because the bottle was so attractive. So to do an ink review is something a bit new for me, so you'll have to bear with me if I struggle on terminology or the way to describe the colours or performance of ink. But I think probably most of us who have got into the fountain pen habit have found that with that comes the acquisition of lots of different inks in different colours. Sometimes your decision's made on the colour, sometimes it's made on the bottle, sometimes the brand, and sometimes you just need to step back and have a little bit of a think about what inks you've got and what you actually like about the inks. So as you can see here, these are the inks I've picked up over the last couple of years, and the first ink I'm going to focus on is something which probably a lot of people have come across, which is the LAMY Turquoise. Now, the reason why I've started with this one is that it's quite a well-regarded ink, it's quite popular, but maybe it's an ink that I've struggled to sort of really fall in love with, and I just really wanted to work out why that was. So, if we move these guys to the side a little bit and focus on the star for today, in terms of the ink review, what I'm intending to do is, as a matter of consistency, I'm going to be using two pens as my, let's call it mules, that the pens I use to test the inks, because probably you'll be relatively familiar with these pens and their performance. The first is the LAMY 2000 with a medium nib, and the second is the TWSBI Eco with a steel fine nib. Now I would say that actually probably the fact these are only fine and medium nibs will have an impact in the amount of shading and the amount of colour that comes through, but hopefully relatively good points of reference. I'll be using this Rhodia dot pad, which I've sort of been playing with recently, picked it up from Bureau Direct, and it's really sort of bomb-proof paper, really nice, non-absorbent, so any shading really comes through on it, and no bleed through, no feathering, and hopefully a pad which people will be relatively familiar with. Okay, so that's how I'm going to do the reviews, and let's put those to one side. So the ink itself, what brought me to this ink? Well, it comes in a fantastic bottle, probably one of the best bottles out there, to be perfectly honest, and certainly for the price point, which is certainly below £10 in the UK, probably closer to around about £7 for 50 millilitres of ink. This does represent brilliant value. So, the bottle, let's start with the bottle. Never seen anything like it. Most obvious thing you spot is this black plastic section on the bottom, within it containing little bits of tear off blotting paper. So it's very absorbent on one side, sort of shiny on the other, just to take the excess ink off your nib. Brilliant idea, nicely executed. Occasionally that the end bit nips back into there, which is a little bit of a pain, but you know, this is fantastic design. They've really put a lot of thought into it. What the black plastic section hides is actually even more impressive, and if you've ever been a heavy fountain pen user and got to the bottom of the bottle of ink, you'll understand why a tiny little reservoir like that is so important. It's so important because actually as you use your ink up, you struggle to get enough of your nib into the ink to be able to draw it up into the pen. So it's almost like you risk sacrificing probably 10-20 millilitres of ink because it just is absolutely inaccessible unless you syringe it up or put it in a different container. This sort of design saves you that hassle. Same sort of design can be found in the LAMY system. There you go. That's got a little sort of well which helps get the last of the ink out, and a few other brands do it as well. So Mont Blanc do it in a slightly different fashion. That's your well, and you can tip the ink into that so it basically sits there whilst that bit's empty. Different ways of doing it, but I really was impressed with the LAMY system. Now the ink itself, it's a wonderfully vibrant colour. It shades nicely, it dries well, it's generally a really good ink. As I say, for some reason it just doesn't do it for me, and I think that's probably for two reasons. It's got a very strong green tone, to my eye at least, and actually I think I prefer more blue tones in my ink. The other reason that it probably doesn't quite do it for me is the way I use my pen and for the reasons I use it. So I use my pen at work, taking notes, scribbling away in meetings, and legibility is incredibly important. It would be unfair to say this has got a washed out colour. I don't think it does, but it isn't a very strong, easily legible colour for me. I prefer a royal blue, dark blues, blacks, dark greys. It just sort of, they come off the page in the way I need it to for how I work with my pens. This is a beautiful ink, don't get me wrong. If you're writing a diary, if you're writing a journal, if you're writing a letter to a friend, this is probably a beautiful ink for that. But for my purposes, it probably isn't quite the right fit for the way I use my pen and ink. Okay, so hopefully that's told you a little bit about the ink, certainly a lot about the bottle. Absolutely beautiful bottle, great value, under a tenner, huge amount of ink, a little bit of thought in the bottle, a lot of thought in the bottle, and an attractive ink for your collection. So if you want to add an ink to your collection, certainly think about these LAMY 50ml bottles, and certainly think about the turquoise if you don't already have a turquoise. Okay, let's get in for a little writing sample. I'll excuse my bad handwriting, and you'll see how it performs on the page. Okay, so a little writing sample, and I'll apologise in advance for my handwriting. Also, it isn't particularly easy working around the camera. Okay, so this is the LAMY Turquoise. First up, we'll do a little writing sample with the 2000. So it's the LAMY 2000 with a medium nib. Okay, so you know that I'm just singing the song in my head, don't you? Okay. So as you can see on this great paper, there is quite a nice bit of shading there. Okay, so that's with the medium nib. With the TWSBI Eco, obviously with a finer nib, you will get less shading. Okay. If anyone could tell me what this sort of handwriting means about me, apart from I'm not very good at writing, please go ahead and analyse it. Okay, so you can see it's a vibrant colour, pretty attractive I think, but not as strong on the page as I'd like it. Maybe I'll do a little sort of swatch test with some blues just to show you the difference. Okay, so this is the LAMY ink. Okay. And we'll put it up against the Diamine Royal Blue to show you how it differs. So quite a lot of difference there. Also, do out of interest is to get a little swatch test out of the Ackerman's Royal Blue, which I believe is exactly the same as the Diamine. I believe that's actually made for them. But let's see if we can do anything to disprove that. Does look a bit different, doesn't it? Maybe not the same ink, but you can see how this sort of the green tones come through stronger with the LAMY. And to my eye, I much prefer the in-your-face colours of the blue. Okay, well I'll take a photo of that so you can see how it finishes off and dries out. And I hope that's helpful. Thank you very much. Bye bye.